Welcome back sa ating channel. Naging mainit nga na usapin sa mundo ng social media. Tila sumamog nga di umano sa galit si Gräce Poe at si Küläng dahil di umano sa ginawa ng Ltfrb na tila gusto talaga nilang palitan ang sasakyan ng bansang Pilipinas. Tila hindi nila iniisip ang kapakanan ng mga driver dahil sa kita nilang kada araw ay hindi nila mabibili ang 2.2 milyon na sasakyan na gustong ipalit ng Ltfrb. Tila pangungurakot nga ang gustong gawin neto. Sino nga ba ang nagmamanipulate sa kanila? Ganitong mga event ang nararapat na makarating sa public. Napaka-importante po ng public information sa mga ganitong usapin para sa kaunawaan ng publiko sa maraming bagay. Una, sa usapang may kinalaman sa kaayusan ng transportation. Pangalawa, sa mga opisyal ng gobyerno na talagang nag-iisip at nagtatrabaho para sa kaayusan at kaginhawaan ng mamayang Pilipino. Again, thank you so much. Mas mabuti rin po sana maitrain po ang mga cooperative officer regarding management dahil may co-op na mga officer ay kulang pa sa kakayahan mag-manage ng business. Hindi po biro ang pag-manage neto. Modernization lalo na pumilyon ang kapital na kailangan bunuin ng operators dito. Yun nga pong wala pang usapan tungkol sa modernization. Ihirap na ang officer, paunlarin ang kooperatiba. Yun pa kayang may bago pa silang iintindihin tungkol sa modernization. Aside from that, may mga government agency na sa instead na i-empower sa mga co-op ay nagsasamantala pa sa kahinaan ng officer. Alam yan ng mga co-op officers, sana lang wala sila. Dahil nakakaawa po ang ilan na dahil sa kakulangan sa kaalaman ay sunod-sunuran na lamang sa dikta ng mga nasa ahensya concerning transport co-ops. Ang sa akin lang po ay i-educate po muna ang co-op officer and members. Well, para nga sa karagdagang impormasyon, panoorin nga natin ang buong detalye. At kung bago ka pa lamang sa aking channel, huwag kalimutan i-click ang subscribe button at notification bell para lagi kang updated sa ating mga bagong video. At para sa sulit viewers natin dyan, maraming salamat sa walang sawang pagsuporta.
Sa aking mga kapwa-senador, ang ating masipag na Majority Floor Leader, Joel Villanueva, and virtually present is Senator Jinggoy Estrada. 6 na taon, 5 pagdinig, 6 na extensions, at isang pandemya ang nagdaan simula noong inilunsad ang Public Utility Vehicle Modernization Program or PUVMP. Pareho pa rin ang mga issue na nangingibabaw. Na kamatayan na ito ng ating mga kasama na marami. Marami sila Efred de Luna, Zenny Maranan, June Magno. Pero nandito pa rin tayo. Una sa lahat, ang issue tungkol sa presyo ng mga modern jeepney. You don't need rocket science to know that a jeepney driver who earns about 750 pesos a day cannot afford to buy a vehicle worth 2.3 million pesos. Kulang na kulang ang 160,000 pesos na subsidy. Kaya naman sa ating panukala na Just and Humane PUV modernization ay isinusulong natin na hindi dapat bababa sa 20% ang subsidiya ng gobyerno at 15 years to pay. On that note, baka pwedeng pag-isipan rin natin ang pag-amenda ng Motor Vehicles Users Charge, MVUC law, para magamit bilang additional equity subsidy sa PUVMP. After all, its current purpose for road construction, repair, rehabilitation is already redundant with the DPWH. Pangalawa, bakit pinipilit ang vehicle replacement kung hilaw pa ang ibang parte ng programa? Nasaan ang komprehensibong plano para sa route rationalization? LTFRB, nagbibigay kayo ng deadline sa mga driver na mag-modernize ng kanilang jeep, pero yung route rationalization ninyo hindi pa tapos. Para bang sinabi niyo sa kanila, bumili na kayo ng refrigerator, ng kama, ng TV para sa bahay niyo. Pero wala naman silang lupang paglalagyan ng bahay na yon. So anong ruta nila? Pangalawa, Similarly, nasaan na ang mga Local Public Transport Route Plan or LPTRP? To bring your attention to the original DOTR Department Order 2017-011, routes shall have a minimum number of units as set by the LPTRPs. It is the LGU which is the first mover in setting how many jeeps are needed per route. Eh, ang problema, hindi lahat ng LGU may kakayanan para magkaroon ng pag-aaral. Eh kahit nga sa Metro Manila, kailangan natin ng tulong ng JICA para gawin yon. Aasahan natin ang local government na sila ang gagawa. Kaya naman, hindi maaalis ang mga bintang na nagkakaroon ng monopolya at kung sino lang ang pinapaboran ng mga lokal na opisyal. But based on DILG Memorandum Circular 2021-139, most LGUs are still in the process of preparing their local plans. Sabi na rin ni Senator Cheese, who was previously Governor of Sorsogon, there's been no support from Ltfrb on what route rationalization should look like. He knows whereof he speaks. Pangatlo, anong maaasahan ng mga jeepney drivers na hindi makapag-comply sa modernization? On paper, mayroon silang social support programs. Itong pinopondohan natin na 200 million pesos para sa 2023, ngunit hindi nito mapapalitan ang pang-araw-araw na kita ng mga jeepney driver. Will they be absorbed into another line of work? Or thank you note na lang ba ang matatanggap sa gobyerno kung meron man? Since the issues of the PUVMP are the same since 2017, then it is fair to say that little has changed. The LTFRB has been pumping the gas, but they keep going around in circles. To put the program on the right track, we are proposing to enact the Just and Humane PUV Modernization Bill. This measure will embody the discussions and compromises in today's committee hearing, which will hopefully be the last. This bill will serve as the agreement among all stakeholders on the specific direction which the PUV modernization will take, and it will be our basis for accountability should the program lose its way again. Ladies and gentlemen, Secretary Bautista is very new in this job, but this program has been going well. The attempt to have this program roll out has started as early as 2017. So clearly there are people still in the agencies who have been pushing for something that has not been working. So, in this discussion, we hope to hear from the stakeholders kung ano ba dapat nating ayusin at mapunuan para magawa na ito talagang programa na ito na walang maiiwanan, lahat pwedeng matulungan. Siyempre, concern namin dito sa Senado, kapakanan ng mga drivers at kapakanan ng mga pasahero. Siyempre, sino ba naman ang ayaw ng magkaroon ng, sino ba naman may gustong magkaroon ng strike? Wala. Ang daming apektado, at least 200,000 passengers or more in Metro Manila alone. But we also have to give the time for our drivers to explain why they are against this modernization. It is their democratic right to express themselves. And so here the Senate, you have that right. Sabihin ninyo kung sino ba yung mga balakid dito sa programa na to. May mga mafia daw, huwag kayo matakot. Dito sa Senado, pwede ninyong sabihin kung sino yung mafia na yan. Hindi kayo pwedeng ang tawag dito, pwedeng demandahin. So sabihin ninyo kung sino ang mga nasa likod dyan na nagpapahirap dito sa programa na ito. So with that, before I would like to recognize also my senators here for their opening statements. Senator Joel Villanueva.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Maganda at mapagpalang hapon po sa ating lahat. Maraming salamat sa ating Chairperson, Senator Gräce Poe, sa kanyang malasakit sa ating mga kababayan, lalo na sa ating mga jeepney drivers at sa usual na swift action. Yan po si Senator Gräce Poe dito sa Senado, lalo na pagka importanteng issue ang dapat i-address ng ating bulwagang ito. Lalo na ngayon nga po dito sa panawagang busisiin ang modernization program ng LTFRB. So, we also thank our DOTR Secretary Bautista, who is also here with us, LTFRB, Sir Guadis, at sa ating po mga resource persons for heeding our call and cooperating with us on short notice. Ang mga driver po natin, araw-araw nasa kalsada, pumapasada, kumakayod para sa kakarampot na kita. Yan po yung katotohanan. Na-experience ko yan nung nasa TESDA ako kasi pag binigyan sila ng opportunity na mas mataas na sweldo, mas magandang trabaho, mas hindi pagod na trabaho, mag-aaral ka lang, kinukuha po agad ng mga drivers natin. Alam nila, Kaobet yan, nila the late Kazeni. Yung kabuhayan po nila, nanganganib pa ngayong mawala, hindi dahil lamang sa hirap ng buhay, kundi mismong dito sa modernization program ng ating pamahalaan. That's why, again, we thank our good chairperson, Senator Gräce Poe, for her efforts to shed light on this issue and for calling this meeting to order. Hindi po tayo kontra sa PUV modernization per se. Hindi po ito maiiwasan, pero hindi naman din po ito dapat madaliin, lalong-lalo na hindi dapat ipilit. Tayo nga po, sinabi natin dito sa plenaryo, napakadami na po natin narinig. Yung pong tanong kung bakit minamadali ito, pinipilit, at parang may tumutulak na sasabihin na natin ng mga nagreklamo sa atin, may mafia talaga dyan eh. Kung saan-saan, at iba-iba. Iba yung nasa Bulacan sa amin, aking mga kalalawigan na narito. At doon sa Bicol, iba, yung sinasabi nga po ni Senator Cheese. Imagine nyo, sa loob ng 6 na taon, 6,000 units out of 180,000 units lang yung na-modernize Senator Gräce, Madam Chair. Napakamahal din nung unit, from 2.4, 2.6 million kada unit. Yung deadline from June 30, 2023, in-extend ngayon to December 2023. Pero yung tanong natin, with the 6 months extension, kaya ba ng Ltfrb o may mga experts na ba tayo, Madam Chair, na makakagawa talaga ng route plan na for quite a long time na-discuss natin dito sa committee na ito. We want safer public transport systems that are better for our environment. We want to balance this goal with the interests of our PUV owners, operators, and drivers, as this sector is already going through a difficult time because of rising fuel prices and yung pinanggalingan natin na pandemya. Let's consider this hearing as a collaborative venue to discuss the Public Utility Vehicle Modernization Plan. Let's dissect the PUV MP to determine whether the program works, whether it is promoting safer, cleaner public transport, whether naririnig natin, may mga sasabihin po ako mamaya about graft and corruption, whether its implementation is too burdensome on the transportation sector and our commuting public. Pakikinggan po natin ang bawat isa sa inyong hinaing at let's ensure that all those affected by this program are heard. The Senate, this committee is here to listen and help the DOTR, the Ltfrb, in ensuring that there is an effective PUV modernization program so that together we can come up with a win-win solution. So sa inyo lahat, maraming salamat po. Magandang hapon. Maraming salamat muli, Madam Chair.
Thank you to our Majority Leader. The Chair now recognizes Senator Risa Hontiveros.
Salamat, Madam Chair, at magandang hapon sa lahat at lalong-lalo na sa mga panauhin ng komiteng ito. At lalo na po yung mula sa sektor ng mga jeepney drivers and operators. At siyempre ang DOTR family sa pamumuno ni Sec Bautista, iba pang mga stakeholders. Nais ko lang mag-ambag sa ating pagdinig by raising questions about the effect on our transportation supply, hindi lamang nitong PUV modernization program at yung nakaambang unang inanunsyong jeepney strike, pati po ibang mga developments sa ating public transportation sector. Tapos nabanggit na rin ng Majority Leader itong extension ng deadline. Oo nga't inurong sa katapusan ng taon, pero sa natitira nating 9 na buwan, sapat na bang panahon para ipanganak ang isang maayos na PUV modernization program na katanggap-tanggap at sustainable sa lahat ng mga stakeholders? Ano ba talaga ang realistic na timeline na once and for all magpatupad ng maayos na programang ganito? And also mga tanong tungkol sa financial issues. Kasi nga po may gastos po talaga ito all around. Pero palagay ko kailangan nating pakinggan ng mas seryoso pa at effectively bigyan ng espasyo sa mga sagot sa mga tanong o resolusyon sa mga issue ang sinasabi ng ating mga jeepney drivers and operators, pati yung mga nabuo ng transport cooperatives, yung mga nagsusumikap mag-take out ng loans sa ating government banks para nga't makapasok dito sa PUV modernization program. At iba pa siguro mga issue, Madam Chair, na i-raise ng ating mga colleagues at ating mga resource persons din para masilip natin at mabigyan din ng hugis ano ba ang kinabukasan ng hindi matatawaran, irreplaceable, masasabi natin, sa kulturang Pilipino na mga jeepney. Paano natin siya ikakambal sa mga isinusulong din nating mga issue ng transportation efficiency at saka environmental sustainability. So marami pong salamat, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Risa. Secretariat, please recognize our guests. Pakiusap po, pag tinawag po yung pangalan ninyo at ang inyong designation, pakitaas po yung kamay ninyo para alam ko kasi minsan hindi namin nababasa na nakadiagonal yung mga nameplates nyo. Para alam ko kung may tanong tungkol dun sa inyo, saan kayo. Okay?
Thank you,
Madam
Madam
Chair,
Chair.
baka
Good
pwede
afternoon, Your
magsalita
Honors,
muna.
and to all guests. For today's public hearing, the following resource persons are present. We have from the Department.
Oh, hold on. Senator Jinggoy, did you have a quick opening? Sorry, we didn't see.
Laki-laki ko, hindi mo nakikita, Madam Chair.
Laki-laki niya.
Hindi, John. Mukha kang payat kasi dyan eh.
Salamat naman, Madam Chair. Anyway, can I give a brief opening statement, if I may?
Go ahead, Senator Jinggoy.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, and to my fellow members of Committee on Public Services and all our resource persons. As early in the 1990s, there were efforts to modernize jeepneys. It was in 2017 that the Public Utility Vehicle Modernization Program was launched by the DOTR with the goal of making the country's public transportation system efficient and environmentally friendly. The program calls for the phasing out of jeepneys, buses, and other PUVs that are at least 15 years old and replacing them with safer, more comfortable, and more environmentally friendly alternatives. It is a move towards changing the landscape of Philippine public transportation. The program's objective is to provide comfortable, accessible, reliable, environment-friendly, and sustainable public transportation. However, despite the prospect of the modernization program to address problems of traffic congestion, reduced road capacity, inefficiency in PUV operations, and air pollution, among others, many drivers and operators show strong resistance to the adoption of this particular program. That's why I joined the committee in identifying the actual problems and coming up with the needed solutions to urgently address concerns raised by the stakeholders. This is of utmost importance because it involves the convenience and safety of the commuting public and the livelihood of members of the public transport industry. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Jinggoy. Secretary, please start from the beginning.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, Your Honors, and to all guests. For today's public hearing, the following resource persons are present. From the Department of Transportation, we have Secretary Jaime Bautista, together with USEC for Legal Affairs, Attorney Rainier Paul Yebra. From the Road Transport and Infrastructure, under Secretary Mark Steven Pastor. From the Office of Transportation Cooperatives, Mr. Jesus Ferdinand D. Ortega. From the Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board, Chairman Teofilo Guadis III. From the Department of Trade and Industry, Engineer Ariel De Inla. From the Department of Budget and Management, present virtually, we have Attorney Carlos Borja and Attorney Trisha Baraan. From the Land Bank of the Philippines, also present virtually, we have Mr. Rolando Oni Averion, Program Officer at the Program Management Department 2, and Ms. Bobby Buendia, Strategy and Knowledge Management Officer. From the Development Bank of the Philippines, we have physically present Vice President for Program Development Management, Mr. Rustico Noli D. Cruz. For the transport groups, from the Manibela, we have the National President, Mr. Mar Valbuena. We also have Mr. Danilo Ignacio from Bulacan Transport. Mr. Modi Floranda, National President of Pagkakaisa ng mga Samahan ng Tsuper at Operator Nationwide Piston. From the Alliance of Transport Operators and Drivers Association of the Philippines, or ALTODAP, we have Mr. Melancio Boy Vargas. From Pasang Mazda, we have National President Mr. Roberto Caobet Martin. From the Liga ng Transportasyon at Operators, and also from Makati Transport, we have Ka Orlando Marquez Sr. From the Alliance of Concerned Transportation Organization, or ACTO, we have Ms. Liberty De Luna. From UV Express, President Alpha Martinez. Present virtually from Labanti NVS, we have the National President, Mr. June De Leon. From the National Federation of Transport Cooperatives, or NFTC, we have Mr. Edmundo Cadavona. Together with him is the Secretary General, Mr. Medel Afala. From the Philippine Cooperative Center, we have Mr. Edwin Bustillos. Together with him, we have the Chairperson of Pagunova Transport Service Cooperative, Mr. Leonardo Bautista. Chairperson of 997 Sandigan Transport Service Cooperative, Mr. Ferdinand Lupangsoy. Chairperson of Taguig Transport Service Cooperative, Mr. Freddy Hernandez. From the UV Express Alliance, we have Mr. Ezequiel Longares. From our commuter groups, we have Mr. Ariel Inton, present virtually from the Lawyers for Commuter Safety and Protection. Mr. Ira Cruz, Executive Director of Alt Mobility PH. Ms. Toy Serna from Commute. And present virtually, we have Dr. Grace Gorospe Hamon, the lead convener of Move Metro Manila. We also have from the League of Cities of the Philippines, Carlos Baira. From the Metro Pacific Tollways Mobility, President and CEO, Mr. Rodrigo Franco, and Assistant Vice President for Corporate Affairs, Mr. Leo Emmanuel K. Gonzalez. From Biahe, we have CEO, Mr. Lawrence Bahia. From Sarao Motors, we have Mr. Edgardo Sarao. And from the Co-op NATCO party list, we have Representative Felimon Espares. That's all, Your Honor.
Thank you once again for your presence. I think we should begin with the LTFRB. And ano na ba yung report ninyo dito sa modernization? Ano na yung nagawa ninyo? Ano pa yung kulang? Do you have a presentation today? Do you have slides to present? You need
May we be allowed, Your Honor,
of
to
course.
come up with a 10-minute presentation?
Sure. How long is your presentation?
That will be 10 minutes, Your Honor.
10?
Yes, Your Honor.
Sige. We'll just tell you to skip a slide if we feel that you don't need to present that.
Yes, Your Honor. May we request the board member for the technical group to discuss the slide, board member Riza Paches, Madam Senator. She's in a better position to discuss the technical aspect.
Where is she?
She's here at my back.
Yeah, go ahead, ma'am. I think maybe you can sit there first while you're presenting.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honors, and thank you, Madam Chairperson, for acknowledging the representation of LTFRB. Next slide, please. Uh, the PUB modernization in summary is basically a convergence of effort between different government agencies set to deliver the components of the Public Utility Vehicle Modernization Program, which is basically interventions in terms of planning, industry consolidation, fleet modernization, offering financing assistance, social support program, addressing the vehicle useful life program or the scrappage program. Also coupled with the regulatory reforms and the corresponding communication programs. The next slide will show you that the industry consolidation has been pushed since 2018 and has been extended for the sixth time, basically to allow the sector to prep or be integrated into the entire modernization program. Next slide, please. In terms of the performance of the industry consolidation, Madam Chair, with a target of about 125,000 active franchise vehicles, to this date, we are able already to allow consolidation of about 113,090, or when we try to look at it in terms of the distribution. Next slide, please. So we see a very steep increase in the encouragement or the response to the consolidation, even at the pandemic time, which registered, I think, a highest of about 71,000 units for consolidation under the PUBMP. And between 2021 to 2023, there's already a slight plateauing, Madam Chair, basically because there's only a little portion of the number of units and franchise to be consolidated. In the next slide, you will see the performance in terms of the fleet modernization. What we are trying to show here is the industry consolidation, wag po natin siyang idugtong muna doon sa industry because it's a separate component, the one that really translate to the modernized unit. In terms of the fleet modernization, there is really a slow progress in terms of the number of units that are being running on the ground, with 6,814 since 2019. This is divided, if you can see in the screen, the big part of it is basically the modernization or the changing of the units from an old model to the PNS set classification, which is basically majority of them are PUJ or Public Utility Jeepney, and a component of it is basically the UV Class 3. In the next slide, you will also see that there are a lot of adapters also in terms of the industry supply side. When we set out the Philippine National Standard for the different types of vehicles that can be used under the modernization program, there were about 60, 63 or more manufacturers with models of different kinds of PUJ class and UV Express class that were already accredited and certified as part of the modernization and adapters of the Philippine national standards for PUB manufacturers. In the next slide would also show the incorporation of certain features under the Omnibus Franchising Guidelines, which basically looks at comfort, safety, and even additional areas for baggages and even standing personnel, passengers. So all of this, when we try to look at the industry consolidation on a national scale, we have a map actually in the next slide that would show about 63.5% of the industry have already consolidated. Meaning to say, hindi pa po siya nagmo-modernize, but all of these are actually formed into juridical entities. Meaning to say, they are now transitioning to a more formal organization from individual operators. As you can see in the screen, The PUJ consolidation is about 62.4%, or practically about 98,000 out of the 158,000 units nationwide. The PUJ, in this composition, the modernized unit is only about, tama ba to? In terms of the routes pala, sorry po. The right side, the one in yellow, that indicates the number of routes consolidated. So 45% route consolidation with 62% unit consolidation. In the UV
Quick
Express.
clarification lang,
Yes,
Madam
Madam
Chair.
Chair.
Just in relation po to an earlier slide of yours, ma'am. Kanina po may sinabi kayong 113,000 out of 125,000 active franchises consolidated. Tama po?
Yes po.
And then these ones now, you're talking about the vehicle units. Tama po ba?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, salamat, Madam Chair.
Okay. Going back to the presentation, on the UV Express, out of the 19,932 units consisting of 1,008 routes, the level of consolidation in terms of the unit is already 71.7%, whereas the consolidation of the routes is already at about 64.1%. Looking at the compliance per island, Madam Chair, in the next slide, you might note that the consolidation in the NCR is quite low, but the number of units that are plying in Metro Manila practically are larger or bigger than the ones in other regions. So this one, in terms of the NCR, the consolidation of the PUJ and UB units applied for franchise consolidation is already around 14,714. For the Visayas, Madam Chair, the consolidation is quite high, particularly in the Region 8, which is the Samar and Leyte region. And we also have in Region 6 of about 80.9%, and in Region 7, which is the Cebu province, and including Bohol, that's 60.4%, Madam Chair. For the Mindanao performance, a lot of them, two of them, Region 10 and Region 12, have already hit the 100% consolidation, whereas the other regions are higher than 50% to as high as 93%, Madam Chair. In terms of the assistance to, next slide please, in terms of the assistance to local government units, when this was rolled out through the DILG-MC 2018-39, out of the 1,575 LGUs, we were able to launch or even extended capacity building to around 87.6 LGUs with 1,379 attendees. Ano po. And the response in terms of, next slide, the response in terms of the compliance to the LPTRP, out from the 1,575 LGUs, there were 985 LGUs that were able to submit their LPTRPs and were evaluated by the agency. A lot of the challenges here, Madam Chair, is basically one of which may dalawang instance po tayo na tumawid sa election period, and the changes also in some of the technical personnel on the ground. But nonetheless, the compliance rate is around 62.5%. The next slide would show that out from the distribution in the entire country, this is the level of the compliance in terms of the LTPRP. Right now, there are 648 LGUs that are currently undergoing the revision of their LPTRPs, 198 of which is under evaluation, and 139 was already approved and issued notices of compliance. In the next slide would show the distribution in terms of island regions. Ano po. So this one, the next slide would show the performance in terms of the Luzon LGUs. The second slide would show the next slide will show the Visayas performance. And then the succeeding slide would also show the Mindanao performance of LGUs in terms of their LPTRP. Now, what's unique in the Mindanao, Madam Chair, is basically in Region 11, while there is 90.7% compliance to the LPTRP, Davao City has embarked on its own unique and comprehensive modernization program, which is called as Davao City High Priority Bus System. Even if the city of Davao, the regions, the provinces outside of Davao City have already completed much of the implementation is now starting only for the Davao High Priority Bus System. In terms of the component on financing, the next slide, please. At the onset of the program, there were two GFIs, practically the government financial institutions that were partners in rolling out the PUB modernization, one of which is the Land Bank of the Philippines, and the other one is the Development Bank of the Philippines. So in the initial equity subsidy, the level of the subsidy was only 80,000 pesos per unit, but over a period of the implementation, it was realized that it is not enough to really cover much of the upfront cost or the upfront fees of modernization. That is why it was increased to 160,000 pesos for PUJs and UVE only. After the pandemic, there was a move to increase or expand the subsidy program of the government, this time covering private financial institution which has in-house financing accredited by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas and the cooperative banks as accredited by the CDA. And of course, the DBP and the Land Bank of the Philippines are still our partners, but for a particular units only, which is basically the larger one, which are the minibus and the public utility buses. The table will show the graduated amount in terms of the PUB subsidy, because this one is also trying to approximate a certain percent into the cost of the vehicle that are in the market right now. Now, another program under the PUB modernization is basically the provision of the social support program to cushion the effect of the displacement in our affected stakeholders. There was an allocation of 400 million and 100 million respectively in the 2022 and 2023 GAA program. GAA. And to support the Entrepreneur program, which is our partnership and convergence program with the Department of Labor and Employment. This is to provide the operators and the drivers with given business packages to a worth of about 30,000 pesos. Another special social support program launch is basically trying to provide skills upgrading for those who want to do capacity building and to venture into entrepreneurial activities. We have the Super Scholar program with an allocation about 350 million in 2022 and 100 million in 2023. In terms of the performance of the social support program, Madam Chair, from 2019 to 2020, there were about 20,000 beneficiaries or 97.8% of the target. In 2021, there were about 3,000 out of the 3,154 beneficiaries, or about 97.7% performance. For 2022, there were only 2,428, or about 26.8%. But the budget for this one is still continuing until the current year, Madam Chair. And the implementation of the social support program of Super Scholar and Entrepreneur are still ongoing. And then for the 2021 Entrepreneur, there were about 6,033 beneficiaries, or about 100% accomplishment. And for the 2022, we still have 61.3% to go to use up the budget for 2022. That's all for now, Madam Chair, and the agency is open to questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation. Would our go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Senator Risa, and Madam Chair. Thank you. Can I ask some questions because I'm trying to look at your presentation. Let's go to the route plans, for instance. The route plans. Based on your presentation, I was looking at the performance report as of December 31, 2021. If we could show the slide. December 31, 2021. It says here in your report, there's only 767 or 48.70%, ayan po, of the total number of LGUs have submitted their respective draft LPTRPs to the LTFRB for review. Now, out of this, pakita lang natin yung universe. The universe is 1575. 735 have been evaluated, but only 69. Only 69 out of the total number of submitted draft have been issued with notice of compliance by LTFRB. Can we show the slide, please? Just to show the slide. 69 po yan. Kanina, I was listening attentively to your report. Ang sabi niyo po doon, 139 na. So from 69, now naging 139. First of all, is that the correct figure? 139 na. It's no longer 69 because 69 is October 31, 2021.
Yes, yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So that's 139 na. Okay. Kung 69 noon, that's only 4.3%. 4.3%. Ngayon, 139, and then you go back to your universe of 1575, you only have 8.8%, Your Honor. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Unfortunately, dun sa presentation, binabanggit kanina, if I'm not mistaken, you were saying you have, what's that compliance number?
Yeah.
62 something percent compliance. And yet, you only have 8.8% na meron na. So parang sinasabi niyo po, yung compliance ninyo, ito yung mga LGUs na nagbigay na, nag-submit. Tama po ba? Nag-submit sila. Pero kahit mag-submit sila, na meron kayong 62.5% compliance, in-approve nyo pa lang is 8.8%. That's my question. So can you
Yes,
clarify that data?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Remember, the LPTRP basically is an undertaking of the local government unit. While they have submitted it and we have returned it for review, the need for it to be issued with a local Sangguniang ordinance basically is the one that's challenging the return of the submitted and revised to us for approval. Parang kumbaga, sir, when we try to do the stages of compliance, yes, they have submitted. Yes, we have reviewed and returned to them, but that submission and revision did not return back to the agency for the issuance of a notice of compliance. So,
Agree po, meaning hindi po approved.
yes, Mr. Chair.
Nakapag-submit pero hindi approved. Tinakil po namin sa plenaryo yan. Kulang kasi yung mga experts, kulang po kasi yung tulong na nabibigay dun sa mga LGUs, kaya yun ang problema niya. But let us not deviate from the real issue here. The real issue here is that you're trying to ask the LGUs to comply, hindi sila makakomply, sinong tinatamaan? Mga tsuper, mga drivers, mga operators. Sila po yung tinatamaan. Sila yung tinatamaan itong modernization. I'll go to another point, Your Honor. In the implementation of PUVMP, I was looking at the COA report. Tinlag na po kayo that the LTFRB has not achieved its expected outputs on LPTRPs and route rationalization components of the PUVMP. Kung ngayon po, tingnan natin, to date, ilan na po ba talaga yung mga may LGUs na may approved route plans? Kasi ho, yung as of 2021 na binanggit natin, na sinabmit po ninyo dito sa Senado, 9% lang po yun. 9% of target LGUs have approved route plans.
Yes, sir. Balikan ko lang po, sir, no, na even without the route plan, there are already existing routes that have been approved also by LGUs and the LTFRB in the
Yeah, but it
past.
is a requirement, Your Honor. It is a requirement for the franchise. Sila yung affected pagka wala. Ang point ko nga po, it's beyond their control. It's beyond the control of our drivers. And lahat po nagtatanguan po sila.
Actually, sir, yung even without the LPTRPs approved, valid pa rin naman po yung mga ruta nila and franchise
You are
under
phasing them out.
yes po, under the old, di ba po, there is also a transition into the revision of the routes, Mr. Chair, ano? They were also allowed to actually run their old routes and modernize using the interim implementation scheme that we have as part of the program. Ang siguro mas maganda din na yung actually si LTFRB admittedly nahihirapan because we don't have a direct relationship to the local governments as these are under the DILG po. No?
Ma'am, I wanted you to know, just to cut you, but so I can proceed with my next point. It is in my personal, it's my personal experience. Ayan po sila sa Ignacio ng Bulacan. Yung mga kababayan po namin sa Giginto, hindi po sila nabigyan dahil wala silang route plan. Kinausap ko yung mayor, dating mayor si Bebong Gatchalian ng Malolo City. Wala po silang experts, humihingi po silang tulong, hindi rin po sila natulungan. Tapos ang nagsasuffer po sila. Just to put that on record, this is my own personal experience. I have friends there na very close to me in mga elementary batchmates ko. Sila yung mga tinamaan po nito. So going back na lang po, yung 9% po na dating approved route plans sa LGUs, ngayon po, kasi as of 2021 po yun, ngayon po, ilan na po ito, yung porsyento na ito na approved route plans?
139, Mr. Chair.
139, which is 8.8%. Bumaba pa. Kasi kinonsider na yung buong universe of 1,575.
Agree.
Madam Chair, parang napakaklaro po nito, no? So, ang next question po siguro is, what assistance is the LTFRB giving to LGUs in the crafting of their route plans?
Right now, Mr. Chairman, when we assume as the new board, we already again intensified our reach out to the local government units. But practically right now, we are already moving towards provinces. We have extended assistance to the province of Bohol, constituting of several LGUs. We have also assisted the Bohol province, Leyte, including Surigao del Norte, and a lot of the RFROs right now are also doing this. The challenge right now, Mr. Chair, is the PUBMP fund was not approved. We were not given additional fund for the PUBMP staff that are actually providing technical assistance to local government units. What the track of LTFRB right now is trying to get in touch with the planning officers on the LGU level so that we will be assisted in terms of the rolling out of the LPTRP.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Just to, sige po.
Majority Leader, just a quick question. You commissioned the JICA study. What areas are covered by the JICA study? I understand this is about 3 years. So, saan ba yan? Metro Manila lang ba yan? NCR? Mr. Pastor?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Opo, tama po. Recently, we made a partnership with the JICA. It's a 3-year plan to provide technical assistance po to the department and our attached agencies to further evaluate po the routes of the National Capital Region and the neighboring provinces. But the focus po, Madam Chair, is to provide a specific specific stop para po magamit po ng ating mga bus at jeep pagdating po ng araw so that there is a designated stop. But one component of the JICA study po is to provide some sort of route rationalization. But it will be specific to one city po. And we are considering at this point, together with the LTFRB, to pilot with Quezon City, being the biggest city po in the National Capital Region, and all those routes that touch the city po. And aside from that, Madam Chair, meron din po tayo yung tinatawag po na enhance the capacity of operators by realizing the scheduled operation, safety for passengers and eco-friendly PUVs, and improving regulations and rules po.
Okay, kasi teka muna, yung JICA study will do a plan for NCR and nearby provinces but will focus in Quezon City. Okay, so yung iba wala pa talagang route rationalization plan. Sa ngayon wala, di ba?
Madam Chair, noong 2018 po, the DOTR partnered with the University of the Philippines para po for the route rationalization.
So meron or wala?
May submissions po, but it was not completed.
Pero hindi pa. Okay, so basically magko-cooperatiba sila pero hindi pa talaga nila alam yung final na assigned route para sa kanila. Wala pa.
Madam Chair.
Oh, I'd like to recognize the online presence of Senator Nancy Binay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Since nabanggit na yung study that was engaged noong 2018, in fact, during the 2020 budget, Madam Chairperson, may submission ng DOTR sa committee na meron na silang tatlong study worth 80 million. Ano na nangyari? Kinuha ng DOTR.
Senator Nancy, pakiulit kasi medyo choppy. Balikan natin si Senator Nancy mamaya. Senator Nancy?
Yes, Madam Chair? Yes.
Ayan, pakiulit.
Yes. Madam Chair, kasi nung budget deliberation, we asked dun route rationalization and DOTR then submitted to the committee na meron na silang worth 80 million na study na ginawa. Can we just get an update kung ano nangyari? Ano nangyari dito? Kasi meron na naman ulit na sa JICA, di ba? Eh ito 80 million na yung ginastos.
Thank you for raising that point, Senator Nancy. Can that be answered by Yusek Pastor? Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Opo, yung binabanggit po ni Senator Binay, Madam Chair, is the, if I can just continue with the UP po, it took a while for them to submit po based on the timelines that was included in the Memorandum of Agreement. In fact, 3 routes lang po yung naibigay. One of the routes is one here in the Senate. That is why na-terminate po yung MOA and we requested funding for the route rationalization po. So in 2019,
Pero
Madam...
nabigay ba ninyo yung 80 million?
Ay, hindi po.
So hindi niyo sila pinag-
Yung 80 million po, Madam Chair, is with a different procurement po. It was procured by LTFRB and there was a consultant by the name of TTPI po. And they submitted initial data sets of routes po. It's just unfortunate that when the live contract of TTPI, inabutan po siya ng pandemic. So, ang sinasabi po nila, when LTFRB was pushing po for the submissions, they could not give an accurate study on the ground because when the pandemic struck, first 6 months po walang public transportation. Then for the succeeding months, it does not, for the succeeding months, hindi po 100% capacity yung lumalabas.
Okay, so ano na nangyari? Nabayaran nyo na sila?
Hindi po nila na kumpleto yung submission.
So hindi nga ninyo nabayaran? O anong nabayad nyo na?
May I defer to LTFRB?
Kasi ganito yan you already paid for a consultant to do the study. Now you're employing again JICA to do another study. Puro studies na lang. Tapos hindi nakaka-submit. Paano?
Madam Chair, magkaiba po yung coverage ng dalawang study. But for the payment po, I understand hindi po na-settle pa ng LTFRB because they failed to complete po the deliverables.
Okay. Senator Joel, maybe you should continue.
Thank you, please. Thank you, Madam Chair. Before we leave that topic on route plans, Madam Chair, just to again reiterate, As stated a while ago, the universe is 1575. The approved route plans is 139, which is only 8.8%, Madam Chair. So basically, hindi ko alam kung minove na natin from June to December yung phasing out, pero with 8.8%, hindi ko alam, Madam Chair, kung anong gagawin natin doon, especially after hearing our good friends from Ltfrb of the challenges they are facing, Madam Chair, in approving these route plans. And again, despite gustong gawin at sumali yung mga tsuper natin, it's beyond their control, Madam Chair. I go to my next point sa ating mga friends from the OTR, Ltfrb. Tinitignan ko po itong as of October 2022, nakalagay po dito around 6,000 modernized jeepneys are operating in the country. This is different from your presentation kanina. In contrast, estimates suggest that there are around 180,000 jeepneys operating in the country. I am not very much aware of the updated figures, pero paki-correct na lang po ako kung may mga updated figures na po yan. It means that success rate of the program is only 3.33%. If we assume that only 136,000 yung ating universe o yung targeted natin to be more modernized, this will only translate to 4.4%, Your Honors. Since yung PUV modernization program was launched in 2017, may we know, right now, figure lang po, how many modernized jeepneys have been in operation?
Consolidated to. The total is
Not consolidated, ma'am. Yung modernized jeepneys in operation now. In operation.
6,814, Mr. Chair.
6,814.
14.
Meaning to say, Your Honor, from October 2022 to today, ang nadagdag lang is 814. Ang target po natin, if I'm correct, is it 136,000 units or 180,000 jeepneys? What is the target? Ma'am, yung 6,814 is still very low. Tingin ko po, kung mag-agree din kayo sa akin. And to give us a clearer picture na lang po, no? How many public utility jeepneys are currently in operation throughout the country? Jeepneys lang.
158,000, Mr. Chair.
58,000.
58.
Out of
Mr.
158.
Chair,
Yes,
follow-up
Senator Risa,
question lang in
please.
connection sa line of questioning ng Majority Leader. 158,000, ma'am, yung sagot nyo sa tanong ni Majority Leader. So, hindi ba estimated 250,000 jeepneys in the Philippines? At baka pa nga mas mataas yung totoong bilang?
The DLTS, the data shows here, Madam Chair, are the ones that are actively renewing their franchises with us.
So,
Yung
158,000.
158,281
Opo.
units.
So, hindi pa yung buong universe na tinatanong ni Majority Leader na in operation
PUJ, yeah, PUJ, Madam Chair.
with active franchises po. Salamat po.
Mm.
Salamat, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So again, dun sa kahit na 158,000 na lang na nag-renew ng franchise at active franchise, 6,814 yung in operation. Mas still mababa pa rin po, no? Just to that's about 4.3%, Your Honor. Most of the PUJ operators, would you agree with me, ma'am, na most of them are small time, meaning they own just one or two vehicles? Would you agree with me, Your Honor?
Yes, there
Yeah.
are a lot of individual operators.
Yes,
Mr. Chair.
more, no? Ma'am,
that's
I have some records here, I can show you. You are correct. The cost of the modernized unit goes from kami ho dito nung sa Senado sa session nagtatanungan, iba-iba yung presyo namin. That roughly 2.5, 2.6 up to 2.8 million. Is that a correct figure, ma'am?
That's the range, Mr. Chair, because
Yeah.
there are a lot of suppliers also.
Yes. Okay, thank you. So that's the range. The earnings of a jeepney driver, according to one study, averages up to 650 pesos a day. Is that, would you agree with me, sirs? 650 a day, you know? Yung poor performance of the program since the start of the program in 2017, pwede ko bang malaman? Kasi kami dito sa Senado, nag-uusap-usap nung isang araw, 650 a day. 2.8 million yung unit. Ano naman natin ini-expect na makakabili at sinasabi nga ho natin ay 80%, for example, dito sa Metro Manila, ang highest concentration ng PUJs, 80% or 19,098 operators own just one single vehicle. Paano natin? So ang question ko, ano bang simulation ginawa ho natin dito at naka-come up tayo na kaya nila yan? Yung figure na yan. Ma'am, gusto ko maintindihan kasi gusto ko namin kayong tulungan, pero kami lahat dito parang, ano yun?
Mr. Senator, Madam Chair, I think the ones in a better position to determine the viability of the operations in terms of the units, I would like to invite siguro the TSE mismo, no, yung the ones that have experience into the, kasi po si
We can call them later on, ma'am. But what I'm saying is just give us a bird's eye view of your plan, of this modernization plan. 650 pesos kinikita ko. Kunyari ako na po. 650 pesos kinita ko araw-araw. Isa lang ang aking jeepney. 2.8 million yung bibiling kong unit. How do you want me to go over this and say, sige, magsama, sabi nyo, magbuo kayo ng cooperative. Sa cooperative po, no, tinitignan ko yung data rin dito eh. Yan natin, ha?
Actually, Senator Joel, habang hinahanap mo yung data mo, tanungin nga natin yung DBP, nandito sila eh. Anong kanilang requirement? Pag meron ng isang driver, individual na may-ari ng provisional license to operate, anong hinihingi ninyong requirement?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We fund.
You're tasked to fund until 95% of the cost, di ba?
That's correct.
Okay.
Apo.
All mga kababayan, sa kauna-unaang pagkakataon nga ay tila natuwa ang mga drivers ng mga sasakyan dahil di umano pinaglaban ni Gräce Poe sa Senado. Dito nga natin makikita na mahirap talaga ilabas ang 2.2 million ng mga driver ng sasakyan. Sana naman mag-isip ang Ltfrb at hindi na lang basta makikinig sa mga suhol at hindi ito tatanggap ng bayad dahil di umano lumalabas nga itong malaking corruption sa bansang Pilipinas. Imagine na lang kung mawawala ang mga lumang sasakyan ay panigurado marami ang magsisisi na taong bayan at mahihirapan makasakay at mahihirapan pumunta sa school or sa trabaho. Wala ano ang inyong mga opinion mga kababayan? Just comment below sa ating comment section at ating pag-uusapan.